All right, here's the video. We're going to focus on the quadratic formula. Here's the quadratic formula. Just a matter of figuring out your A, B, and C, plugging in, and simplifying. The simplifying might be where a lot of questions come in. All right, so it says negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so I just pulled one of your questions from out of here. The first thing I want to do is make sure it's equal to 0 over here. It's not, so I got to get rid of that 5. So I'm going to say minus 5, which brings it over here, minus 5, okay? That cancels. Now I have 2x squared minus 3x minus 20 equals 0, okay? All right, now, remember before where I was talking about this is A, that's B, and that's C, okay? So that's going into our formula, okay? So where it says negative b, I'm going to look over here. B is already negative. So if I do negative, negative, it becomes a positive. So I'm going to say 3, okay? Plus or minus, remember that came up in some of our answers before. It could be that plus the square root of whatever, or it could be that minus the square root of whatever, okay? So I'm going to put plus or minus the square root of b squared, right? B squared. So look back over here. B is negative 3. So negative 3 squared. I tell my students, always put your number, if you're squaring it, put it in parentheses so it doesn't mess up in the calculator. Minus 4 times a, in this case, a is 2, times c, and c is negative 20. All over 2 times a, which is 2 again, okay? So I tell students, this is what I do. I say 3 plus or minus square root, leave that alone for a second, and then 2 times 2 is 4, okay? That part's easy. Now, the inside part, right here, okay? Don't worry about the square root part yet, okay? In your calculator, you can put it in. You can say parentheses. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with my other hand. Negative 3, close parentheses, squared, minus 4, parentheses, 2, close parentheses, open parentheses, negative 20, close parentheses, and I get 169, okay? So that's what's going to go in here. Now, this is one scenario that could work out, because when you get down here, you have 3 different things that could happen. I could end up with a square root that I can actually take the square root of, which is what happened in this case, because the square root of 169 is 13. So then I can say 3 plus 13 divided by 4, or 3 minus 13 divided by 4. Okay, remember that plus or minus. Okay, I can separate it if I get a whole number answer here. If I don't, I gotta leave it, okay? So 3 plus 13 is 16. And 16 divided by 4 is 4, right? And then 3 minus 13 is negative 10 over 4, which will reduce to negative 5 halves, or negative 2.5. Remember, math teachers normally like fractions, okay? They like fractions and square roots. They don't like decimal answers usually. And they like answers in the terms of pi too. I apologize about that. Okay, so here's a couple other scenarios that could play out. That one wasn't too bad. But you could get down to where, let's say it's negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 13 over 4. Okay? In this case, negative, I got to remember to pull out the I, right? Okay, so that'd be negative 5 plus or minus I square root of 13 over 4. Okay, so sometimes you could have a negative in there. Sometimes you could have where you can simplest radical, negative 2 plus or minus square root of, let's say 12 over 2, for example. I'll show you one here. Okay, so this one, 12, is the same as 2 times 6, which is 2 times 3, right? And mark out those. I got a pair of 2's, so now I can say negative 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 3, because that's left on the inside, over 2. Oops. Getting in the way there. Over 2. And then I could reduce here, right? So you'll have those 2's. So then I'd end up with -1 plus or minus the square root of 3. Okay, because all those 2's would reduce. That's supposed to be a plus or minus. Okay. Let's see, what's another scenario? That's the only ones I can think of right now. But yeah, if it comes out where you can take the square root of the number like we just did, then you'd have 1 plus, 1 minus, okay? So there's different ways it can look on your answers. But that's pretty much solving by quadratic formula. Just getting the quadratic over here equal to 0 first, and then plug in your A, B, and C. And then always bring down the B in front, and my 2 times A I bring down on the bottom. I'd put this in the calculator, bring this here, and then do whatever I can with it. If I can take the square root of it like this, I go ahead and do it. If I can't, I do simplest radical. And that's pretty much it.